Donald Trump didn't like the latest news about China, saying it would restrict access to its country's rare earths for export to all companies. Donald Trump didn't like it, he already complained, and threatened to increase tariffs on China by 100%. But things didn't look good for the United States after Donald Trump's announcement, starting November 1st. He said he would do this, and China also responded very strongly, and China's response is already a very aggressive response. We'll talk about this today. We'll open quotes for Donald Trump on his social media account at TR Social to see what he said. We just learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive stance on trade, sending an extremely hostile letter to the world, stating that it would impose export controls starting November 1, 2025. Just to explain, first, let's make a parenthesis. China did this after Donald Trump restricted access to chips to China. Oh, he restricted the export of chips and semiconductors to China, okay? So, China responded to Donald Trump with this, okay? They said, you won't let us buy the chips because he doesn't want China to improve its technology. You won't let us buy the chips, so what are we going to do? Quote, so, we won't send you any materials, okay? If the relationship wants to be unilateral, it will be unilateral. That's it. Including some that don't even manufacture. This affects all countries, without exception. And it was obviously a plan they devised years ago. So he said it was already a planned deal, okay? He's portraying China as Machiavellian. That's what's important for you to know, okay? Trump, he always comes up with these conspiracy theories. It's something absolutely unprecedented in international trade and a moral disgrace compared to other nations. Considering that China has taken this unprecedented position and is speaking only on behalf of the United States and not on behalf of other nations that have been similarly threatened, he's trying to say, I'm speaking for the United States, but you're also being threatened. You have to break with China. Quote, that's what he's trying to say, right? Well, starting November 1, 2025, or earlier, depending on any other actions or changes taken by China, the United States will impose a 100% tariff on China, above any tariffs they are currently paying. Then, it will increase to 100% above any tariffs imposed on China on November 1st as well. So, above, right? If it's 30%, if I'm not mistaken, it's at 30%, it will go to 130%. That's it too. On November 1st, we will impose export controls on all and any critical software. Software, okay? We're not talking about chips. He said any critical software. It's critical. It's impossible to believe China would take such a step, but it did. And the rest is history. Thank you for your attention, Donald Trump, President of the United States of America. As I told you, this Chinese attitude comes after Donald Trump restricted access to chips and chip exports to China. So China said, so you won't export chips to us, and we won't export rare earths to you either. That's it, basically. That's it, okay? Then Donald Trump, I told you they had a meeting scheduled for the Asia Summit, right? East Asia. A scheduled meeting, no, they had a meeting there, a bilateral meeting, right? Not necessarily scheduled, but a possibility. Donald Trump, he already said in an interview that he doesn't think it will be necessary anymore. He sees no reason other than because it's like this now, a declaration of trade war again. He doesn't see any reason, but he will be there, that's what he said. He will be there at the East Asia Summit. So, this meeting will happen, okay? You can rest assured. This meeting will happen, it will ease the situation at that moment. But, right? No, it won't stop there. I think it's important to highlight this. Well, to understand Donald Trump's announcement, there's already been a setback within the US economy. Remember, we always say here that Donald Trump talks big, threatens, and harms the US economy itself. It harms the entire world, of course, but the US economy, some of the most important indexes there, of the US economy, are in a sharp decline. 2.7% is quite a lot, for example, for the Sao Paulo or CP 500, right? It's one of the most important indexes in the United States, related to technology, services, healthcare, information companies. So there you have companies, for example, like Amazon, Nike, Coca-Cola, Apple, you've seen a decline, which means the shares of these companies are falling, okay? and in general, because if we can't capture the Chinese market, then the company starts to lose, you know? We can't export to the Chinese market, which is the largest market in the world, right? It's 1/12, at least, right? Depending on the larger area. So if we can't export, we'll see a decline, you know? Because the company already, what's the point of this company being worth so much? It will continue to be worth so much, of course, but you'll see a decline, and that makes a difference. Okay? Good. And China responded. I told you China would respond strongly. China responded first, saying, if it increases there, it will also increase here. We're back to that level we were talking about. What did China say? The Chinese Ministry of Commerce, through its spokesperson, said the following. Let's open quotes here. Resorting to tariff threats is not a good way to engage with China. Look, I found that very interesting. It's not a good way. Threats are something the United States does all the time. China's position on a tariff war has always been consistent. It has always fought this way to defend multilateralism. What has it been giving the United States in response? Well, 2 points. We don't want one. It doesn't want a tariff war, but we're not afraid of one. This is China, okay? Here, this is, for example, it's going to be influenced by China's historical confusion. The fact that you want something doesn't mean that you don't want something doesn't mean you're not prepared for it. This is historical in China, a society with almost 5,000 years of history. So, look, think about it. Here you even mention the Chinese military issue. We're not in favor of a war, a world war, whatever. We've been fighting for dialogue and such since the 1970s, but that doesn't mean we're not prepared for it if there is a war. So here, it's the same thing. It doesn't mean we don't want a tariff war, but if there is, we're prepared. And let me tell you something very important. China is a juggernaut in the consumer market, okay? And in production. It's a juggernaut. Going to war with China is extremely difficult. Oh, but it's the United States of America. Yes, it's the United States, which is also a juggernaut, but it's never gone head-to-head with a country the size of China in this sense, in terms of development, production, and consumer market. Never before in history, today, China is a major global reality, and so are other countries, I'll tell you the truth. Either you open a dialogue with China or you isolate yourself because you can't depend on US policy. That's basically it. Let's take a look at Argentina. Argentina has relations with China too, and it's broken. Oh, as if Brazil wasn't doing well, but Brazil has prospects. And what's Argentina doing? It's getting into debt with the United States. Okay? It's for a reason like this, I'd even say stupid. Stupid. Okay, but that's it. So, leave it here in the comments. Remembering here that the coffee I'm drinking is our Vero coffee. Link in the description for you to learn about Vero coffee, which is a subscription coffee. Go to the website, look up the producers, read about Café Vera, Café Suave, very tasty. And then, if you want to subscribe, click on the subscription link, see which plan is best for you, okay? So, it's very tasty. I'm always drinking it here. And our discount coupon is Café Dialetico altogether and in capital letters. If you're there, want to subscribe, type Café Dialetico altogether and in capital letters. You have a really cool discount, okay? That's it, folks. Thanks. Leave it here in the comments. It's Sunday, but geopolitics never stops. Okay? I'll leave it here. I love you, sweetheart. Big kiss.